Superman is one of, if not the most popular superhero ever made. But despite this, Superman has not had many games. I believe this is because making a game about one of the most powerful heroes of all time is kind of challenging, because typically in a game there needs to be some kind of challenge, especially in a superhero game there needs to be fights with some kind of actual stakes, which is kind of hard when the hero is almost completely untouchable. But I believe that making a good Superman game is possible. Now, to start off this discussion on how to make a good Superman game, I would like to talk about a game that is quite close to the perfect Superman game. This game is called Undefeated. Now, this game is still in early development, but I really think they got a lot of things right. One of these being the boss battles, where instead of you taking damage, the city takes damage. Instead of the enemy attacking you, the enemy attacks the city. I personally found a few of these boss fights quite hard. I mean, I failed the mission quite a bit, which is really good because the mechanic gave the game challenge, which is also a mechanic I would like to see in a future Superman game. I also think the combat in Crimes is quite good. It has you moving very fast and makes you feel like Superman. But the only thing I don't like about the combat is it's a little too easy. It kind of feels pointless at times, and even though the combat makes you feel like Superman, it has no stakes. I think that they could improve this by adding civilians being held hostage or in danger, so that if you're not fast enough or if you attack in the wrong way, the civilian will die, which would fail the mission, which would give these crimes more difficulty, and make them feel like they have more purpose. Now, I'm going to talk about more Superman-specific things, as well as some other story elements I'd like to see included. So, first, we're going to talk about traversal, which would mainly be flying, which flying is one of the most important things to get right in a Superman game. Just like how important having good swinging was for the Spider-Man games. But I don't know exactly how to make a good, fun traversal system with flying. But the things I do know is that the flying must feel fast, and there should be a decent amount of combat in the sky as well, like the boss fights in Undefeated, because it looks really cool. Another thing I would like to see is the use of kryptonite. I would like to see this because I think it would be a really powerful moment later in the story where the player realizes they are not invincible. Superman is not invincible. Superman is not an untouchable god. Superman can now be harmed, which would give even more challenge to the entire game. Now I'm going to talk about my ideas for some things I'd like to see in the story. So let's begin. First, I would like to see a younger, more inexperienced Superman who is still trying to get the hang of being a hero and is still learning what it means to be a hero. I would also like to see his friends at the Daily Planet like Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane to show the more human side of Superman, who is obviously Clark Kent, but seeing this side of him could, as I just said, give Superman more humanity. I would also like to see Clark and Lois start dating, just so he has more things to care about that he needs to protect, and also, I just love their dynamic. I'm now going to discuss the main villains I want in the game, starting with Lex Luthor. I chose Lex Luthor because of his rivalry with Superman, and as well his jealousy for Superman. Superman? Could lead to a really interesting story. I also chose Lex because I'd like to see him and his minions use kryptonite to give Superman more mortality, make the game harder, and to give the story more stakes. Another villain I would like to see is Bizarro. Now, I've really went in depth about how I want this to play out, so bear with me. Now, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but some comics do have Lex Luthor create Bizarro with the DNA of Superman. Now, I have written out exactly how I want this finale to go, but it was too long and felt too off topic. But I'll talk about the most important parts now. So, I was thinking, instead of Bizarro becoming Lex's weapon, the experiment could go wrong, and Bizarro could turn on Lex Luthor, which would make it so that you would need to be saved by Superman. And they would need to work together to defeat Bizarro, which I wrote this entire little story, but I'm going to kind of sum it up. So Superman goes off and holds off Bizarro, right? And while he's doing that, Lex Luthor alters the molecular structure of the green kryptonite he has previously obtained, and he creates blue kryptonite, which is Bizarro's, I don't know if it's his one weakness, but it's his weakness, and it's what would kill him and save Metropolis. So, I know, insane story writer. But that's kind of the story, or at least only the finale. That's how I like it to go. And now that is what I think could make a good Superman game. I think the most important parts being combat, traversal, and story. I really hope we do get a good Superman game soon. But if you would like to play a really good, unofficial Superman game, you could check out Undefeated. I know it's on PlayStation. I don't know if it's on Steam, but I'll put it on the screen if it is. And, yeah, that's about it. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. I'll most likely be covering the Superman movie coming out this year. And, thanks for watching.